So you don't know me, but I'm Glargity, and this is going to be my first video, and I wanted to do this for a while. Nothing got me really fired up quite like this topic, so I'm going to talk about creepshow art and why people are so impacted by the allegations and everything. So everything in this video is going to be allegations or my opinion, and I'll try to separate those two. So with that out of the way, let's begin. Creepshow, if you didn't know, is a channel that has hit a brick wall lately with allegations, backstabbing accusations, and just general garbage that has been stacking up over the last 3 weeks. Most notable, starting with the locale thread that made it into the spotlight when Creepshow made a community post about it, claiming it was a stalker that she had for several years. Amy, it has come into question whether Amy is a real person or not. We still don't really know, but a lot of people are claiming that Amy herself is a fabrication, and they're moving on with that as well. I'm not here to talk about that, but she did blame Amy for the either hacking or stalking in this community post and said that she was the reason for the locale. So that's something that I don't really want to cover in this video, but a lot of other people have covered it. I'll see if I can link Omnia's video down below. I'm also going to cover the stalking and harassment that was placed forward by Emily Artful in her video. It will also be linked below. So her and her husband have been implicated in that. It is all allegations, but Emily Artful has brought forward some evidence and receipts on that as well. And then finally, the last thing that has happened that I know of is that Creepshow's own sibling, who's non-binary, has come forward and answered a couple questions on Twitter, making everything seem much worse. And it also corroborates some of what Emily has said as well. So that is all going on, and I just want to talk about why we care so much. So why does it matter? And why did 250,000 people subscribe in the first place if creepshowArt is truly as terrible as a lot of people are saying she is? Well, we should start off with the basics. So starting off, Creepshow is smart, she's algorithmic, and she stated in several videos, the one I'm thinking of right now is specifically the Lily Jean ones, that she used to work in social networking, and she has scanned at places like Social Blade. So she knows what goes into making content popular. So a lot of her stuff would come out weekly or even bi-weekly to keep up the quota and keep her on top of trends and everything like that. So lately she's been forgoing the drawing part, which is what some artists actually have a lot of issues with. As far as I know, I think they've been credited, but she stopped drawing entirely and instead has hired an editor. So really all she has to do is sit down, record, write a script. I don't know if she does write a script or not, but what she has to do is sit down, record, and then put somebody else's art underneath it, and then pay her editor to kind of paste it all together and upload. So this makes things significantly faster for her. So she doesn't have to work as hard to put out content every single week. I'm leaving her editor out of this entirely, by the way, because the amount of harassment he's getting over just knowing Creepshow is unfair and upsetting. The amount of tea spilling and content she was pumping out every week was enough to keep her relevant, why people noticed her. So she was on top of trends, the right thumbnails, the right timing, the right everything. So that's why so many people were kind of drawn to her at first. You would find these videos in your recommended and you would click on them. And now all she had to do was keep you there. Why she was so appealing is another story, however. On top of her being vulgar and kind of childish, Creepshow had the appeal of being in the right constantly. She would take hard stances against things that were blatantly wrong, like the Onision scandals, all 10 million of them, I guess, child predators, the cuties thing that was happening on Netflix. She would take a hard stance on things that everybody knew to be wrong. So she had massive appeal in that respect. And also, she was kind of a friendly voice behind the art, you know? She wasn't perfect, but she would constantly be giving you these kind of tea-spilling videos that also had this widespread appeal of being in the right with a friendly voice behind it. So we had a lot of little notes of a real person behind this kind of, I don't want to say news, but basically hot topics. So she was throwing in her own opinions. She wanted you to know that she cared about these issues. She would take a hard stance on them. But in general, these weren't very hard things to take a stance on. Nobody likes child predators because child predators are the worst, you know? Nobody likes Onision because Onision's the worst. It's something that everybody can get behind. And whether your nuances are small or large with these things, whether you have specific issues with those things, you can agree that those things are generally bad. So, in this form, she was telling you all about this. She would tell you kind of these hot topics. She would be a friendly voice. And that was enough to get people hooked. And listening constantly. People would check up. It wasn't just recommendations anymore. People started subscribing. And that started in about 2018, where a mass surge of Creepshow's audience came from. And also, people had a parasocial relationship with her, making her a more personable character, which just some people like to listen to. It's easy to get attached to people you don't actually know. And for Creepshow, it was like knowing a friend at a distance. And the last thing that made her the most appealing was her appearance of being all out there. Like she wasn't hiding anything. She wore her emotions on her sleeve. She wasn't afraid to swear. She would just appear to be someone that had no regrets in life. And that made things a lot easier to believe. She would make story times constantly about crazy things that would happen to her, which made her very relatable but also kind of fantastical at the same time. She was actual in real life friends with several YouTubers. It wasn't an act. At least not for her friends. People like Ready to Glare and Tamimi, they knew her. They knew her on a very personal level. They would talk about real things, and that is what is mostly upsetting. We thought we knew a real person. Everyone thought they knew a real person in Creepshow. And that is the strangest part. It wasn't just a ploy to get people to follow others or other YouTubers. It wasn't collabing constantly. Ready to Glare herself had said things about Creepshow being a real friend and being there for her. Other YouTubers constantly saying that Creepshow would always be there to listen or give advice or threaten to go to war for them. There was always this idea behind Creepshow that she would be the friend you always wanted. She would do all these things. And really, that's the strangest part of it, because while all this was happening, she was going on to places like Locale and anonymously posting how much she thought they were terrible people, how much they thought they were just copying her, or just the worst. Some allegations even have come out about Creepshow herself invalidating somebody's sexuality because she thought they were in a long-distance relationship and that didn't count. These things come out of nowhere if you thought you knew who she was. And another thing is the parasocial relationship comes back. Because now we think we can trust her. And all of a sudden, she starts saying things like, if you're in a bad headspace or something else, don't watch the video. Or go and drink water and stay healthy. And those things, although generic, made videos feel personal. It made videos like hers feel like they were coming from a real person who cared about our health, when in reality, nobody knew who she was behind it all. And honestly, I don't know why we expected to know her. Besides the fact that she told us that we did. It's weird coming from somebody who says that you know me on a personal level and I care about you and I'm your comfort YouTuber, and then finding out that they actually don't care at all. They make up things on a anonymous form just to do bad things. They just want to upset people or hurt them, or with the Emily Artful thing, they just want to, I don't know. And it's upsetting to hear. And in conclusion, Creepshow was a calculated and heartless creator who made things 100% worse for herself when her lies caught up to her, and now she is the reason why an entire community is up in arms. She was supposed to be a better person. She told us she was a better person. We put faith in an idol that did not care for anything but the algorithm and how much money she was making off the platform. She used her homelessness to deflect from criticism, which a lot of videos go over. She built up relationships with other trusted YouTubers just to trash them behind their back. She blamed it all on a stalker, which some people say don't even exist. So many people are upset because they attach themselves to a gold-covered idol that happened to be made out of paper mache, and now it's raining and we don't know what to do. Everyone is disappointed, Creepshow. But now I know why we expected more from you, at least. Alright, well, first of all, I just want to say, what a weird start to a new channel. And also, subscribe if you want. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, so hopefully more of this stuff, or maybe I'll get bored and do something completely different next week. I have no idea. But thanks for listening to me. This is obviously something that's a little bit near and dear to my heart, so obviously it's a lot of opinions and a little bit of hurt feelings, gonna be honest, but I really appreciate you watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.